What's up, gamers and geeks? Matt here with That's Fair Podcasting and Gaming Geeks Live. Now, in the past, I have covered ninjas in a few videos. From the obvious ninja craze of the 1980s, known as Ninja Mania, to Hollywood's own ninja, Shinobi, ninjas have been a part of pop culture now for decades. Now, with movies such as Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, and American Ninja, these one-time Japanese agents clad in black have been literally part of entertainment for some time now, so stay tuned. As a Gen Xer, having grown up in the 80s, this ninja craze known as Ninja Mania, I got to witness it firsthand, and I gotta tell you, it was a phenomenal decade. But did the Ninja Mania ever really go away, or has it kind of always been with this? If you are new here, please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live. Please like my video, help me in that algorithm like you've been doing. And if you don't do any of those and you just hear yet another ninja video by yours truly, thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate it. A brief summary of the ninja craze of the 80s, known literally as Ninja Mania. You have to probably start with movies first. As far back as I believe 80 or 81 with the Octagon with Chuck Norris and Tadashi Yamashita. But Shinobi would come along in like 81 with Enter the Ninja and do a trilogy of ninja movies with Canon Films, Golan and Globus. And he would sort of revolutionize and make ninjas, I think, what they even are today as far as in Hollywood. Without Shinobi, it probably doesn't take off as much as it did, just my opinion. Then you had the mid-80s come along after Shinobi moved on and started doing his own movies like Nine Deaths of the Ninja, Pray for Death and Rage of Honor. You had Michael Dudikoff come along, play the American Ninja, and that was kind of a franchise. Didn't really get as good as the first one, but I think there were 2 or 3 more, I'm not sure. And then it would go on and on. You'd have other ninja movies all the way to 2009's Ninja Assassin. Now, also in the 80s would introduce ninjas into toy lines such as G.I. Joe. The famous Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, you can't forget those. So there would be ninjas in the toy line. I even think in the late 80s there was a Chuck Norris Karate Commando type of action figures that might have had some ninjas in it, all the way to lead figures for Dungeons and Dragons. So, you know, the toy lines definitely did have them, but then in the 80s, this boom of martial art magazines came out. I think even one just called Ninja, a magazine just called that, where you could look at AMA or Asian World of Martial Arts and look at the supplies. Growing up as a poor kid, I could only make things out of sticks and legit stones. I mean, they didn't break my bones, but yeah, we were pretty poor growing up, so I just had to look at these catalogs and foam at the mouth while my cousin Sebastian was getting the Ninja Boken, the Tonfa. He got a couple, I think he got a couple of size, don't quote me on that. We were too young to get the actual Ninjato swords, but he was able to collect on these. He even had an authentic ninja uniform, whereas I kind of had to make mine. It was kind of dog shite, but you know, it is what it is. The ninja craze wasn't going away for me for a while. And it probably lasted from, to me, about 82 to about 86. It was just, everything was freaking ninjas. Then you had your comic books, you know, as well. First off, you had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you had your G.I. Joe comic line too that had its own storyline. So you can't forget that. And then back in the 80s, I think you had some ninja in video games. I believe Ninja Gaiden may have started out by then. I think, no, I lied. It was called Shinobi. It was an arcade game called Shinobi. And then on the Nintendo, you had The Legend of Cage. And then on the Sega system that dropped in 88, you had The Ninja. So guys, to have been able to live through the Ninja Mania, I can't stress enough to you what you younger generations are probably have missed. And it sucks, because the Ninja Mania of the 1980s was awesome, but Shinobi will always be the face of Ninja Mania. Now, later on, other video games would come out featuring ninjas in them as well. Plenty of them. You had Neo, then you had again, Ninja Gaiden at that point started to really, come out as it grew later. Ninja Technai, I believe, which was a great stealth game, very underrated. And then you had Sekiro, and then one I love, Rise of the Ronin. But then you had Assassin's Creed Shadows. So what goes up must come down, and Shadows was basically the dog shite of the later on video games that had to do with actual ninjas and ninjutsu, so to speak. But in special forces in the United States military, you had what's called Joint Special Operations Command, or JSOC, and they liken themselves to modern day ninjas with military. So, the influence was also there as far as our military. And I was watching one of the highest ranking American ninjutsu masters named Stephen K. Hayes, who as I got older started being able to order stuff. I ordered my stuff through him. And he even did his own show for a while. And he was talking about how he knew a lot of people in the military that likened a lot of their abilities to actual ninjas and calling themselves modern day ninjas with the JSOC. So kind of makes sense. They had a lot in the way of infiltration, espionage, and stealth. So that makes sense. Let's go over the myth surrounding the ninja, the fabled feudal Japanese warrior or agent, so to speak. Ninjas were superhuman in the movies, being able to perform all these massive superhuman feats that most humans couldn't do. Probably exaggerated. I gotta say probably, because I hate digging on my ninjas. Highly exaggerated. Yes. The modern day ninja wasn't performing all these amazing feats and whatnot, but it is also believed that the Shaolin monks, or the monks in the higher mountains of China, did pass on some of these secrets to some Japanese travelers, and they were able to bring back what would ultimately become ninjutsu in ancient Japan. And also, to say that they were superhuman is a myth. Hollywood does have to get its hooks into things, and it worked for us kids, man, I'm telling you. And then they were always clad in black. Not true. Now, I'm not saying that, first of all, they weren't ever clad in black, but more like a midnight blue in night missions when infiltrating and hiding. And the reason they were using midnight blue is because with the moonlight, it helped them blend into the environment better than pure black did, believe it or not. True story. And, most of the time, though, ninjas were dressed in disguise, such as farmers, monks of sorts, to gain access to areas they wouldn't otherwise be able to gain in these areas of Japan on these assignments that they had to probably get an idea of a head count, get an idea of the compound layout they can bring back to their clan. It wasn't always, clad in black or even midnight blue or white ninjas, so to speak, in the snow. That was really very, very seldom was that actually done. Did they use magic? And by that, I mean magic of smoke bombs allowing them to disappear. No, that was not it. I'm going to be honest with you. They were used more. Smoke bombs were used, but they were used more for diversion, to block the pursuers from chasing them if they're being chased even in the dark. A good smoke bomb being blown up will help them disappear beyond the shadows, but they won't make you like you see in Ninja 3: The Domination, when the ninja is being shot up and he throws the smoke bomb in the sand and poof, he's gone. Yeah, no, they didn't make you disappear. Ninjas were not magicians, but they did use the night as stealth. So maybe they could have been exaggerated by samurai or ronin at some point chasing them going, he disappeared in thin air. Yeah, well, he blended into the night. And the smoke bombs often helped too. So did caltrops, when they dropped those. Those would make just about any pursuer give up chase. Now, were ninjas assassins? Very seldom. Ninjas are oftentimes equated with assassins, ninja assassins. Not really always the case. I'm not saying that there weren't some that did it. Perhaps there were some that, the worst case scenario, you got to take out a daimyo. I'm saying it did happen, but I'm not saying that was their number one thing. They were more into infiltration, espionage, gathering intel, herbs and remedies, and things like that. But yeah, as far as assassins, that wasn't as used as much as we have been led to believe. Where does that leave ninjas in today's influence of pop culture? Well, still in video games. Again, I've talked about this. with the 90s and the Mortal Kombats and into the 2000s, and still to this day, the Mortal Kombats. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously, again, Rise of the Ronin. Jin Sakai kind of gave you the hint that he was dealing with ninjas, if not becoming kind of one in Ghost of Tsushima. And then again, like I said, Ninja Gaiden and other, other video games that still use ninja to this day. Neo, obviously a big one, and Sekiro. You have ninjutsu schools that are open in modern day society now, teaching things like various martial arts of ninjutsu, unconventional techniques that the ninjas may have used. They're not gonna go out there and say, okay, use this in a real fight. And again, like all martial arts, if you ask me, grapplers are the ones that you don't wanna mess with. You can know all the ninjutsu you want, but if there's a dude with cauliflower ear, I got bad news for you, dude. But these ninjutsu schools that are open also teach survival and stealth as well. So, they keep some traditional ninja tactics alive, but will we ever know the actual secrets to like Hattori Hanzo and what he did in feudal Japan? No. Unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of those died with the Iga and Koga clans. And if they are, they'll be in Japanese hands, rightfully so, where they should stay. But yeah, again, unconventional martial art methods may be taught in schools of ninjutsu in modern day society now, with again, some survival and stealth and martial arts. But again, guys, I can't stress to you enough, jiu-jitsu and grappling are the mother lode. Any martial artists out there, I've taken my fair share of martial arts. It was later on in life that I started to realize, I need to start learning grappling, which I did with some judo, and it was a smart move on my part. Not that I need to get into fights at my age, I don't, but I think a good martial artist realizes grappling is all a part of the martial arts life. And again, it's also in modern day Dungeons and Dragons, the ninja is as well. And as a dungeon master for over 40 years, I make sure ninjas periodically drop in my campaigns here and there as much as I can. I'm a ninja freak. I love all things ninja. Again, video games now too. And the problem here is I'm a big Ubisoft fan, as you can see behind me, the Assassin's Creed posters. And when they dropped the first Assassin's Creed in 2007, I looked at my wife, I talked to my friends and said, okay, they took it to the Middle East. They're gonna take it to Japan one day, and they did. And they absolutely just blew it with that progressive shit that they put in that garbage of a game. So bad that, I don't know how much money that game made, but I do know for a fact they didn't even break even and make their money back. There's a reason why Ubisoft's being bailed out by Tencent even as we speak. And also you can find heavily influenced ninja in things like anime. Now, I've never been a fan of anime. I've got a buddy of mine, my podcast buddy Miles, he watches some of it. He's tried to get me into it. I can't. It just doesn't take. But yeah, guys, in closing, ninjas are still holding an influence somewhat to today. Not like it did in the 80s. I cannot stress to the younger generations that did not get to experience Ninja Mania of the 80s. It was a craze like no other. It was like the Pac-Man craze that lived. It was short-lived, but unlike Pac-Man, ninjas never really went away, especially with us Gen Xers. So guys, I just want to talk about the little influence that ninjas may still have today. I want to see a video game come out that gives us a good, big, open world RPG, just stages of life ninja game. And what I mean by that is you start off as a kid in ninja school, you progress, you become a ninja adult, you're running these missions. Even if you have to fantasize it a little bit, I don't care. I want a ninja game. Ubisoft, don't ever try a ninja game again. You absolutely sucked at it. Maybe Tencent can help you along with their new joint studio, Vantage Studios, and make you redo it or make a new one. But until then, I like what Ninja Koei did with Rise of the Ronin. I like Jin Sakai and Ghost of Tsushima. I like Neo and I like Sekiro. Ubisoft, stay far the fuck away from ninjas. You don't know what ninjas are. But guys, that's really all I had. And all you ninja fans, thank you for watching this. If you stayed with me this long, I appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live. Like my video again. This is about ninjas. You guys have been, my ninja videos are taking even more than my video games, and I sincerely appreciate that. And to all you gamers and ninjas out there, all love, and I'm outro.